citizenship, and we got these definitions from Dr. Felicia Arriaga. One is political, which means the ability to participate within the political process. The second one is legal, which is rights granted by acts, etc. And the third one is social. It means inclusion in everyday aspects of life. And then the fourth one is cultural citizenship, the ability to celebrate and define one's culture. According to Evelyn Glenn, full citizenship, which is the fifth one, is not just a matter of formal legal status. It is a matter of belonging, including recognition by other members of the community. Formal law and legal rulings create a structure that grant or deny recognition. Why do people migrate? People migrate because of cost-benefit analysis and temporary and circular migration. The history of criminalization of immigrants. In 1875, it prohibits convicted felons. In 1986, Immigration Marriage Fraud Amendments Act, and then in the 1990, INS begins carrying firearms. In 1994, criminal court judges gain power to order deportation as part of the sentencing process.
And to understand a little bit more about crimmigration, according to Felicia Arriaga, crimmigration is the criminalization of immigration law and procedure, and kind of the way that immigration law and criminal law are kind of mirrored in criminal courts. The term describes what should be a distinction between immigration law and criminal law. Criminal law seeks to prevent harm from citizens and to protect them, and immigration law is kind of determining who can come into a country and who can stay. And crimmigration describes the common trend of the blurring of these two lines, so treating immigrants as the things that citizens need to be protected from. Juliet Stumpf writes that the crimmigration merger has taken place in three major ways. In the first way, the content of immigration and criminal law is overlapping more and more. Immigration enforcement resembles criminal law enforcement, so like treating immigrants as criminals, and the procedural side of prosecuting immigration law or immigration violations has taken on some of the features of criminal procedure. And according to a study done between 1992 and 2008, non-citizens receive harsher punishments than citizens in court jurisdictions with growing non-citizen populations. Undocumented non-citizens receive harsher punishments than non-citizens who are legal residents, and non-citizens are sentenced increasingly harshly as the population of non-citizens grows. And the study concluded that the citizenship effect on sentencing has grown over time, especially in areas where non-citizen populations are.
Now onto the field with Libby and Tyler.
Hi, I'm Libby.
I'm Shane.
And we're going around campus interviewing people on their perceptions of crimmigration. So, do you know what crimmigration is?
I do not.
All right. How closely related do you think immigration and the criminal justice system is?
I mean, I would imagine there's a good amount of overlap, but you would expect to see some shortcomings in the criminal justice system to properly deal with immigration, since it's such a hot topic, and there's social justice issues as well.
Do you think that immigration and the criminal justice system should be so closely related?
I would say no, just because I feel like you would see probably some bias in the criminal justice system. Not that you wouldn't expect to see it there, but with immigration, it seems like you essentially have people that are looking at it from a perspective of they're already in a country, so for them their questions have been answered. They might not be considering what if I wasn't born here? They're not considering the other perspective of things.
Yeah. And what do you think is the biggest disparities between citizens and immigrants?
Honestly, it's something you can't control, right? Yeah, there might be some cultural impacts, but when it comes down to it, it's just it's race, it's age, literally, you really have no control over where you're born, so there doesn't have to be any disparities at all, really.
Hello, I'm Tyler Long.
I'm Cletus Birmingham.
I hate you. So we're doing some field work trying to understand what do students think about crimmigration, whether even that they know what it is. So first question, do you know what crimmigration is?
I mean, I'm a guess that it's the ways that criminality and immigration relate.
And how closely related do you think immigration and the criminal justice system is?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the way that our government perceives criminals, I would say that that would probably move over to immigration as well, that they're like, that guy's a criminal, so we don't want him here. And so I would say very related.
Do you think that immigration and the criminal justice system should be so closely related?
No, I mean, I understand the thought process of putting them together because like we want the best and brightest in our country, but I think that defining people by a record is wrong, and I think that America's about the American dream moving forward, and I think we should judge people by who they can be, not who they were.
And final question, what do you think is the biggest disparity between citizens and immigrants?
You mean like economically?
Yeah, access to resources, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest would be the right to vote, but also like education.
My name is Juliet.
So first question, do you know what crimmigration is?
I do not.
Okay. How closely related do you think immigration and the criminal justice system is?
I would say things very closely.
Okay. And do you think that immigration and the criminal justice system should be so closely related?
Within reasonable measures, but I believe that recently those reasonable measures have been reached.
Okay. And what do you think is the biggest disparities between citizens and immigrants in this country?
I would say it's a sense of entitlement, a sense of ownership of where they have lived in. And as the current citizens, a great majority of them feel that their home so far has not been immigrated into, but rather been given. And immigrants are more like guests. That kind of framework is probably the biggest distinction I can find.
And then, what do you think are some of the biggest inequalities between citizens and immigrants?
I feel like police definitely target immigrants more just because of their status, mostly like notorious for like smaller crimes, which is why there are more immigrants being arrested for just like petty things rather than like serious crimes.
My name is Coleman Davis.
Okay, and what do you think is the biggest disparities between citizens and immigrants?
Well, it depends because some citizens are immigrants, some immigrants are citizens. And the only disparity I see is those who are not here legally and thus are not citizens.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Amy Yu.
What do you think are the biggest inequalities between citizens and immigrants?
I think access to services without having it be attached to all these sources of fear that prevent equality in a country that's supposed to be based on all these ideals of equality in the first place.
All right, thank you. So not only inequalities between citizens, documented immigrants or undocumented? Both. Biggest inequalities between American citizens and immigrants. That's a tough question. I would think one is just like definitely the pressure of assimilation. I think is one really big one. It's tough for me to be like, oh, these are definitely the biggest ones. Pressure of assimilation, I think, is a huge one. Just because I think America the United States, as it's portrayed to other countries, is thought of as like a melting pot. And I think in reality, a lot of cultures come here and feel the pressure to just assimilate to American culture. And I think a big product of that is that people feel unwelcome here, uncomfortable here, and that they lose a lot of what makes them feel comfortable when they have to come here. And then another large issue, definitely I would say like for people who are undocumented or people who are like maybe just documented but like struggling to like make a life for themselves in the United States, the pressure of like feeling like you're watched by our nation, definitely living in this political atmosphere is very unwelcoming. Probably feels like you have all factors against you, and it makes it even harder to succeed.
So when researchers are studying the axis of inequality, they tend to kind of follow the basis that citizenship is integral to any understanding of democracy, and it is intimately related to rights. And so the rights have commonly been conceptualized as falling into three categories, which are civil rights, political rights, and socioeconomic rights. So following this categorization, civil and political rights affect each individual equally in extent and degree, regardless of the circumstances, while the social rights impact upon individuals disproportionately, even though they're
available to be claimed by all citizens.
Indeed, all rights are in principle identical and equal. The inequalities of the democratic system enter when rights are practiced, when they are exercised in the real world. The problem then lies not so much with the rights themselves as with their expression as participation in civil, political, cultural, and social rights. In the real world, the ability to exercise one's rights equally is profoundly influenced by economic power and by the cultural norms of status which discriminate along a myriad of axes, including gender, ethnicity, class, and age.